Elwood Dalton, a former UFC middleweight fighter with a troubled past, now survives by scamming fighters in the underground circuit. His reputation as a brutal and unpredictable fighter has made him notorious. One day, he's approached by Frankie, the tough owner of a roadhouse in the gritty Florida Keys town of Glass Key. Frankie initially wanted to hire Carter, another fighter, but when Carter refuses to fight Dalton, citing Dalton's dangerous history, she's left with no choice but to offer Dalton the job instead. Frankie explains that her roadhouse, once a popular stop for highway drivers, is now attracting a rough, lawless crowd that wrecks the place nightly. The cops won't help, and her previous bouncers have quit in fear. Desperate, she offers Dalton $5,000 a week to bring some order to her establishment. At first, Dalton is hesitant. His life has spiraled into chaos, and he's on the edge of despair, narrowly avoiding suicide by a freight train that obliterates his car. After this harrowing moment, he decides to take the job, hopping on a bus bound for Glass Key. Upon arrival, he checks into Frankie's establishment, simply called the Roadhouse, and soon befriends Charlie, a bright teenager who helps run a bookstore with her father, Steven. Dalton's first night at the Roadhouse doesn't go quietly. A violent motorcycle gang led by Del rolls in, causing havoc. Del works for local crime boss Ben Brandt, and the gang's antics quickly turn into a brawl. Dalton takes matters into his own hands, fending off the gang and even driving the injured members to the hospital. There, he meets Ellie, a sharp and caring doctor who patches him up. As he settles into Frankie's old houseboat, Dalton starts to train the other bouncers, like Billy, earning respect from the locals. But Ellie gives him a stern warning. If he crosses the wrong people, the police won't be there to save him. Tensions rise when Del targets Dalton, lying in wait at his houseboat for an ambush. Dalton manages to overpower him, tossing Del into the water. But to his horror, Del is killed by a lurking crocodile. As Dalton investigates further, he uncovers the real reason for the gang's interest in the Roadhouse. Ben Brandt, the local crime boss, is funding a massive real estate project, and Frankie's Roadhouse stands in his way. The stakes are far higher than Dalton anticipated, and as the conflict deepens, he realizes that he's caught in a dangerous web of corruption and power in Glass Key. Knox, a deranged and ruthless enforcer played by Conor McGregor, has been given a deadly mission by Brandt's father, who, even from behind bars, wields power over the criminal underworld. His task is simple: find and eliminate Elwood Dalton. As tensions rise in the corrupt town of Glass Key, Dalton tries to escape his violent past, even managing to enjoy an unexpected date with Ellie, the kind-hearted doctor who has been trying to help him heal. But peace doesn't last long. Their evening is interrupted when Sheriff confronts Dalton at gunpoint, ordering him to leave town immediately. In a shocking twist, Ellie steps in and reveals the truth. She's the sheriff's daughter. Her father is deeply entangled with Ben Brandt, and Brandt has inherited a corrupt empire of drugs and real estate from his imprisoned father, Gerald, and is now trying to tighten his grip on the town. When Brandt himself shows up at the Roadhouse, it becomes clear that Dalton's past won't stay buried. Brandt cruelly taunts him, bringing up the darkest moment of his life. During a UFC title fight, Dalton lost control in a blind rage and killed his opponent, who was also his friend. This painful memory haunts Dalton, but there's no time to dwell. Knox arrives with Brandt's men, and what follows is a brutal no-holds-barred fight in the Roadhouse. Outnumbered and overpowered, Dalton is left battered and broken. In the aftermath, Frankie finally confesses the full story. Brandt has been buying up property all over town to build an exclusive resort, but Frankie is the only one standing in his way. She refuses to sell, knowing that Brandt is out of cash and resorting to dangerous loans from even shadier figures. If she can hold out just a little longer, Brandt's financial backers would likely turn on him and take him out themselves. Despite the slim hope, Dalton decides it's time to leave Glass Key behind and escape the madness. But his plans change in an instant when he learns that Charlie and her father, Steven, are in the hospital. Brandt's men torch their bookstore, leaving them fighting for their lives. This cruel act ignites something dark in Dalton, something he's been trying to keep buried. Dalton's rage is unleashed. He tracks down one of the thugs responsible for the attack and kills him in cold blood. With his fury now fully awakened, Dalton admits to himself that what he's been afraid of all along. Once he's consumed by anger, nothing and no one can stop him. And now, his rage is aimed squarely at Ben Brandt and Knox. Fueled by vengeance, Dalton devises a plan. He captures a deputy sheriff making a large delivery of Brandt's illegal cash, framing the deputy for murder and stealing the money for himself. The situation escalates when the sheriff comes to Dalton with devastating news. Brandt has kidnapped Ellie. The price for her release? The stolen money. Now, Dalton faces an impossible choice, one that will push him to the edge of his humanity. With the town of Glass Key teetering on the brink of chaos, Dalton must decide whether to walk away from the fight or embrace the rage that's been building inside him all along. The final showdown looms, and only one side will emerge from the carnage. In a high-stakes showdown, Dalton steals a bomb-laden motorboat to reach Ben Brandt's luxurious catamaran yacht. Upon arrival, Dalton finds Brandt and the sheriff together. The sheriff reveals that the kidnapping of Ellie was a ruse designed to lure Dalton into a trap, but Brandt, true to his treacherous nature, betrays the sheriff and reveals that Ellie is indeed being held captive. As tensions rise, Knox approaches in his own boat, but Dalton takes decisive action, detonating the motorboat to create a diversion. He descends below deck and finds Ellie desperately trying to escape through a window. As the yacht begins to sink, Brandt seizes the opportunity to recapture Ellie while Dalton commandeers Knox's boat. In a dramatic chase, Dalton and Ellie leap from Knox's boat just as Brandt is catapulted onto the roof of the roadhouse. On land, Knox steals a pickup truck and crashes it into the roadhouse, leading to a fierce hand-to-hand battle with Dalton. As Knox prepares to deliver a fatal blow, Brandt commands him to kill Dalton. Instead, Knox turns on Brandt, snapping his neck in a sudden act of rebellion. With Brandt out of the way, Knox attempts to finish Dalton with a shard of wood, but Dalton overpowers him, delivering a series of brutal stabs until Knox is left incapacitated. With the threat finally neutralized, the sheriff arrives and agrees to cover up Dalton's actions. As Frankie and Steven start to rebuild their lives, Charlie says her goodbyes to Dalton as he waits for his bus out of town. As the bus pulls away, Steven discovers that Dalton has left him the trunk of cash. In a mid-credits scene, it's revealed that Knox survived his injuries. He violently attacks hospital staff and escapes in his hospital gown, hinting that his reign of terror may not be over. Roadhouse attempts to revive the spirit of the classic 1989 film with a nostalgic B-movie flair, but ends up leaning heavily into cartoonish aesthetic. Jake Gyllenhaal stars as Elwood Dalton, a former UFC fighter hired as a bouncer by Frankie, played by Jessica Williams, who runs a struggling roadhouse in Glass Key, Florida. The bar is under threat from local motorcycle gangs and the sinister real estate mogul Ben Brandt, played by Billy Magnuson, who wants to shut it down to expand his criminal empire. The film starts with a playful nod to its predecessors, but as it progresses, it struggles to balance this tone with more serious elements. The shift results in absurd plot twists and notably poor CGI, especially in the extended fight scene. Gyllenhaal's performance is engaging, but the film's attempts at romance and character development, particularly Dalton's relationship with Ellie, played by Daniela Melchior, feel underdeveloped and more like plot devices than genuine connections. Conor McGregor's role as the over-the-top enforcer Knox injects some energy into the latter half of the film, though his performance feels out of place with the film's inconsistent tone. While Roadhouse features moments of nostalgic fun and a strong lead performance, its disjointed narrative and reliance on CGI ultimately detract from its overall impact. The result is a film that struggles to reconcile its playful and serious elements, leaving viewers with a mixed and uneven experience. Thank you very much for watching the whole video. And if you have a movie or TV show that you want us to cover, just comment it down below. We'll make a video of it in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our playlist for more recaps.